down and I live by the river.
Hello and welcome to Fulham Fan News. Tonight's episode is going to be all about season review, just a little chat about our favourite players, who was the standout for you, the top performers throughout the season. Today I'm joined by Kieran, as ever. Kieran, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Glad to see,
And
well, not glad the season's over, but got lots to look forward to over the summer, so ready to dig into it all.
and also joined by the sportsman Sam Penfold, who joined us on the season preview way back in August. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, very well, mate. Happy to be back on the pod. Looking forward to an evening of positive discussion, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I think all in all, it was a positive season for Fulham, considering everything that happened last summer. So that leads us on perfectly to what I want to open with, which is how you boys saw the season, your overall review of how everything went for Fulham. So, Kieran, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so obviously it was a good season, finishing 13th where we did. I think it's probably deserved. I think all season we've been safe enough to know that we weren't going down, but we obviously wanted to push on after the success of last season. So I think it was a little bit of a shame to not see us kind of push for the heights of where we were last season, if not higher. But I still think we can reflect on a successful season altogether because we stayed up comfortably. We grinded out some good results here and there. Whilst our away form was a little bit of a downside to the season, we still managed to pull through, get the 3 points where we needed. Broke some records for the club, managed to equal our goal scoring tally without a classified or like a solid number 9. So I think we've done well altogether. I think, as we said in the previous episode, I think stable and steady would probably be two good words to use again to describe the season. But yeah, big summer ahead. And overall, I'm satisfied with the season. But I feel that if we back Marco properly over the summer, I feel like we can just definitely push onwards over the summer and hopefully like finish high next season.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair assessment, to be honest. As we've discussed previously, stable, steady. For most, it'll be a pretty boring season, but for Fulham, just to consolidate in the Premier League, to make sure we didn't get second season syndrome, I think it's been good. It's been a solid season for us. Sam, how do you feel Fulham have done this season? I know you predicted 15th back in on the preview, so you're not too far off. So how do you feel they've done?
Yeah, I think without a recognised striker in with the likes of Mitrovic obviously leaving at the start of the season, I think that was a massive blow for Fulham. But you've managed to stay up. You've consolidated throughout the season. You've stayed in like you say, you've stayed safe. And that is the key thing. Obviously, you don't want to become a yo-yo club or any of that sort. And I don't think Fulham really are built to be a yo-yo club. They look very safe. They look very stable. And keeping the likes of Marco Silva when you lost the likes of Mitrovic was a big thing. And I think that's paid off over the course of the year. It's been one of those years, like you say, for others, for a neutral, you could deem it as a boring season, but to finish 13th in the Premier League is no mean feat. I think people get a bit caught up on chasing Europe and trying to get in like Europa Conference League places nowadays. Being 13th is a solid platform for you to build off. You still get your revenue in, and it gives you an opportunity to sit down over the summer properly and look at where you want to take the club forward.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment. I mean, I know we flirted with potentially getting that Europa League place or Europa Conference League place for a while until the last international break. Even Marco said himself that things just didn't go well after that, and Fulham fell away. But to be honest, I think it could have been a bit detrimental for us. We might have got better quality players in, but the depth of the squad, I think it showed around January time when we were playing in the Carabao Cup semi-finals, Premier League midweek, and at the weekend. I think it showed we didn't really have the depth to me mixing and matching, and we saw some results around then drop off. So yeah, for me as well, 13th I think was spot on. Going on to as you guys said about not having a recognised striker, Fulham bought Raul Jimenez in the summer last year. He's ended the season with 7 goals. He had a pretty bad injury middle of the season. Took him a while to get going, getting used to the way Fulham played. Um, just want to have a chat about him and the other signings that Fulham made, and which one really stood out, or which two or three, whoever, really stood out for you guys. For me personally, I think Calvin Bassey's come in, shoved Tim Ream to the side, and there's a whole new era there starting. I think he's a brilliant defender, great on the ball, and yeah, only 24 years of age, so he's got many years ahead of him in that position, hopefully in a Fulham shirt. Castagna as well, massively consistent, taking Kenny Tette's place. A lot of people questioned Fulham's transfer business last summer because there wasn't so much of it, and it, you know, they weren't massive names, but I think each and every one of them has come good when they needed to. So when we were struggling for goals, Jimenez came good. Towards the end of the season, we lacked a bit of spark. Adama Traore came back from his injury, had a little run where he created quite a few goals for Fulham. Even scored on the last day as well. Castagna's, like I say, been consistent. Bassey came in, been solid. So Sam, how do you feel Fulham have done with those new signings? How do you think they've settled in?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Calvin Bassey, I think, was a big outlay for Fulham. One of those that you really needed to hit the ground running. And for a period of time, it maybe looked like he was just kind of adapting to the pace of the Premier League after being at Ajax, obviously at Eredivisie, slower league, playing at Rangers beforehand, looked great, but again, just not quite the quality. But then, yeah, he's come in, and with all due respect to Tim Ream, it's probably time that Fulham moved away from that sort of player anyway. When he's a quality player for the Championship, but when you're looking to kick on and play a slightly different style of football, especially under the likes of Marco Silva, you need that centre back that can play the ball out from the back. And he's definitely comfortable carrying the ball forward as well. Did you sign a Iwobi this year, or was Iwobi there last year as well?
Maybe it was this year as well. Yeah, I've not even spoken about Iwobi. Yeah,
yeah, very good player, underrated, I think, in what he does off the ball for Fulham. You can't really question a player's work rate and desire, especially when it comes to the big games. You've got his performance, I think it was at Old Trafford. I think he bagged a double for you. I was there for that game. That was a dagger. But yeah, he's come into his own this year. Looked very comfortable in the centre of midfield. I think going forward, he probably could offer you a little bit more. But generally, for what he provided this year, I'd say he was definitely one player to watch going forward next year after having this season to adapt to Marco Silva's tactics and style of play and whatnot. Yeah, he's probably my standout Fulham signing for the year.
Yeah, well, he obviously came to Everton, I think, when Marco was there. He's played under him before, so I think he was a massive reason that Iwobi went to Fulham. A lot of people questioned the amount of money that we spent on him, because I think it was around 20 million that we paid for him, but he has definitely come good. Lots of assists, lots of goals. I think if he can just nail down a position, he'd be even better. Because at the moment, is he on the left? Is he on the right? Is he playing in the 10? Is he in the 8? It's great having the versatility, but I think if he knows where he's playing, then I think he'd be even better. Kieran, how do you think Fulham signings have done this season?
Yeah, I think they're settled in quite well. I won't talk too much about Iwobi or Bassey too much, as we've already mentioned a lot of it, but obviously full of high praise for those two. Both come in and done really well for us. Castagna has been another solid signing, I think. Obviously, given Tete a lot of competition after Tete was one of our main starters throughout last season. And he's doing well. I mean, we saw hints of what he could do at Leicester in their relegation season. He's got potential for assists and goals, which he has come up with again this season. And he's been really solid in right back, and I think he's the type of right back that we need. One that's able to carry the ball forward, able to track back and defend. And I think he's done really well for us. He's found his form alongside Bassey, and obviously alongside we're in front of Leno as well. I think that gives him the comfort and the calmness to off the ball as well. So Castagna's done really well. And I think I will touch on Jimenez again. Bit of a questionable signing during the summer. Everyone, all the eyes shifting. What's going on here? Is he gonna find his form under Marco after that horrific injury before he joined? And he did just before the Christmas period, when we were winning 5-0 and stuff. He found his feet, he found his form, and he brought Fulham the goals they needed. And it was a great run of form. And whilst he was out injured for the majority of the winter period, since coming back as well, even though he has been a face off the bench, he still has come with the goals when needed. I mean, we saw him he got a double against Luton on the final day, which was impressive enough. And obviously Muniz is not a new signing, but I'm sure we'll talk about him in a bit. But yeah, for me, Castagna and Jimenez stand outs alongside Iwobi and Bassi as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, to be talking about Jimenez like that, I do think we saw a lot of the old Jimenez, especially
Oh,
around that
definitely,
Christmas
yeah.
period.
Definitely more to come
Especially
from him
around
as
the Christmas
well.
period. Yeah. So I'm hoping he has a good preseason and actually, pushes Muniz, who obviously, leads me on. It's perfectly really because I wanted to talk about unsung heroes this season. Who is that player that doesn't get the credit that deserves the credit? So for me personally, I think it's Anthony Robinson. He arguably, well, he's got the top interceptions in the Premier League this season. Um, I think he's near the top. I think he's second or third for carries as well, and I think he's like third for tackles or something like that as well, which is just he's nuts to be honest. He just gets up and down the left side. The athleticism that he has is just incredible to be honest, and I think his game has gone to another level this season defensively as well because we for most Fulham fans, if you ask any Fulham fan, and say he switches off. His defensively, he's not great. He'll switch off, but this season he seems to have stayed switched on. He signed a new 5-year deal last summer. If anyone wants him, they're going to have to pay big money for him, I think. Um, but I think he'll stay, to be honest, because I think he's so key to the way Marco plays and the system that Fulham have. Um, and I think he's been a massive part in Willian's renaissance as well. I think with Willian cutting inside, he knows that Robinson's always on the outside. So for me, my unsung hero is Anthony Robinson. Kieran, who would you go for as your unsung hero?
Oh, unsung hero. As you said, Robinson's been probably one of the biggest standouts of the season. I did have him down as my player of the season. But I won't talk about him too much. But I think an unsung hero has to be Sasha Lukic because a bit of an underdog, really.
Yeah,
If we're talking about this at the start of the season, you think, oh, not too keen, because obviously Polinia did so well last season that if anyone was going to come in next to him, they would have big boots to kind of fill or um, to work alongside him. But I think he's done really well. Obviously, he had a bit of a slow start with us, but he's adapted well and he's put in some really strong performances this season. And gone on the radar. He's pushed Harrison Reed onto the bench, which if you'd asked us last season if that was possible, it'd be very difficult to say it would. But he's had a great season and he's come up. Yeah, he got a goal against Spurs as well. Can't forget that. So his goal contributions is good and his work rate in midfield alongside Polinia. I think that partnership is kind of crucial to our midfield. And obviously Polinia, he was a key player we kept last season. He's been equally as good as he was last season this season. Hence why I guess we're not praising him as much, but he still deserves the credit because I think having someone like Polinia next to Lukic has really kind of like given him confidence. And under Marco Silva, I think there's definitely more to come from him. So Lukic should be my unsung hero for the season, personally.
yeah. I mean, obviously Sasha Lukic, he's done really well second half of the season, especially. I think he's better than Harrison Reed with the ball. He carries the ball better. I think he's got that explosive burst of pace to get away from a player. But I just think that the speed of the game in Italy is a bit slower, and he just took some time to adapt. He doesn't speak great English, and I think the loss of Mitrovic was very key. Poor timing, really, last summer, just as he was getting his first pre-season with Fulham. But hopefully he kicks on, and we can see more of him next season. Sam, do you have an unsung hero for Fulham?
I'd just tag on to what you were saying about Anthony Robinson, sorry. He's very much one of those players that whenever I see Fulham playing, he's always on the ball. He's always up and down. I'd love to know what his like average distance per match is because I reckon tops like 14K almost every game. I was just looking actually when you were talking about him being top of the interceptions charts. He's actually top in Europe's top 5 leagues with 80.
Yeah.
Like what he does off the ball and his work rate down that left flank for Fulham, I think, is a huge safety net for whoever you put in on that left wing. Because the likes of Willian can't, as much as their quality player, can't offer you that up and down support when it's comes to like tracking back. If you've got a defender that can give you that overlap and then bomb it straight back down as well, I think that's invaluable, especially in like the modern fullback is what you want. So yeah, Robinson for me, I think I'd join you in being Fulham's unsung hero, or now sung hero.
Oh yeah, not so much now. I think he's in the alternative Premier League Team of the Year as well. So yeah, I think he's starting to get the recognition I think he deserves as well. But he released this. He spoke to the Athletic the other day and said that he's happy at Fulham. If someone pays the money that Fulham want, then he'll think about it. But at the moment, he's happy. He's focused on the Copa America and just looking forward to getting back and helping Fulham push on next season. So, as a Fulham fan, that's great to hear because he's a
very,
key
very
asset
good.
for us, I think. So I want to move on and talk about the breakthrough of Rodrigo Muniz. Obviously, he went on loan to Middlesbrough last season, as the song goes, and yeah, he didn't do too great for Borough, but Marco never gave up on him. And well, we've seen, especially in February and March, we saw the type of player that he can be. And I just wanted to ask you boys, do you think that he is the man to lead the line for Fulham next season, or do you think Fulham will go into the market? Sam, I'll start with you on that one.
I would be hesitant going into next season as a Fulham fan with Muniz as my starting striker. I think so he scored 8 goals in 8 weeks between March and between the start of February and the March. Scored 8 goals in 8 weeks. Brilliant. That's what you want. Showed everyone what he could do. Got himself into the Brazilian squad. Looked lively. Was finishing chances. Popped up with some very, very big late goals as well. But then you have that period at the end of the season from game week 31 to 38 where I think he scored once. And to be a sustainable top flight team, you cannot afford to have a striker that can take 8 weeks off. Whether you've got Raul Jimenez there, which is great because he pops up with goals, but again, we've already touched on the fact that he's another one of those hot and cold strikers. I think Muniz provides a great option and would be great competition for someone, but I don't think he can go into next season as Fulham's starting number 9. That being said, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I think he's a great player and an absolute steal on FPL as well. But to go into the likes of Alexander Mitrovic numbers, you're going to need something a bit more. And I don't know if he can make that jump. But he's still young, I believe. So
yeah, 22, yeah.
Yeah. Still adapting to the style of the Premier League, the pace of the Premier League, the quality of the Premier League. But can he do that for a sustained 38-game season and not have a hot streak for 2 months is yet to be seen. But
it's good. It's good to have that sort of balanced opinion on it because we're all going, he's the main guy. He looks great. He's big. He's strong. He looks like Mitrovic, but just a bit more athletic. But I also agree with you in terms of he's still a bit raw, and he's going to blow hot and cold for the next year or so. So for Fulham, if they want to kick on, they do need more. And I like the point you make there with saying that Jimenez is also hot and cold. So for me, it'd be interesting because I know Marco said that Jay Stansfield's going to come back and be part of our squad next season. And I'm really excited to see that. And he's made the step from League One to the Championship look seamless. And to be honest, I think if he wasn't at Birmingham, if he'd gone to a Sunderland or an Ipswich, he'd have scored 20 plus goals last season. But I'm still not sure if he's the man to come and do the job either. So for me, I think Fulham do still need to go into the market for another striker. Kieran, how do you feel about Muniz?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with both you boys about Muniz not being our nailed number 9 going into next season. Obviously, as we said, he's had great form throughout the season, similar to Jimenez. He scored some crucial goals and been a great player off the ball. Like I think some of the way we've seen him play on and off the ball over since February, it's been similar to what Mitrovic brought to us throughout like the whole of last season. His assets, obviously training alongside Mitrovic, has probably helped with that. But I think what he's obviously he's been the shadow Mitrovic's shadow for multiple seasons since we signed him at the start of Marco's reign. I think it's really started to show towards the latter half of the season. Going into the next season, I do think we need a proper number 9 striker to come in over the summer. Obviously, with Stansfield back, I think that'll be good competition for him. But obviously, I don't know if he's up to the level of the Premier League yet. So maybe for Stansfield, it could be a case of keeping him here until Christmas and then loaning him out for the second half of the season, or vice versa. And then I think for Jimenez and Muniz, it could be a case of if they want to earn their place in the starting 11, they've got to like push for it. There'll be more competition if we get a nailed number 9 striker that we can say that is who I want leading my line. That is who's going to get us the goals throughout and the whole 38 game weeks and not just a certain period. So Muniz has been good. He's got what we need in terms of the Mitrovic-sized hole, and he's filled the gap. Not well, he's papered over the gap, but he's papered over the gap quite well throughout the season. But I think now that the paper's sort of breaking a little bit, I think we now need to fill the hole with an actual number 9 striker who can fit that Mitrovic-sized gap.
Just to dive back in and contradict myself straight away, I don't think the striker problem for Fulham would be a primary concern going into.
No, definitely not.
Because if you've got Muniz and then Jimenez that are both within their own rights recognised number 9s, and then you bring back a young talent like Stansfield who's ready to not necessarily start in the Premier League, but definitely come on for those 20, 30-minute cameos off the bench. You then bring in another number 9, and suddenly you've got 4 strikers all knocking on the door for one position because you only play with a single.
Yeah.
And then you're just throwing money away on wages with the likes of Jimenez because he'd probably become your 4th choice. So Stansfield then either goes out on loan again and Fulham fans go up in arms about why they're not using the young talent. And you've spent 25 million on another striker that isn't guaranteed to work straight away, especially if you want guaranteed. So yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what Marco does over the summer and what system he wants to play next season. I think that will be crucial to what we see come in through in the attacking department. So I guess it's for us to see, to be honest.
Yeah, so that's the next point I want to talk about is where Fulham need to strengthen. Obviously, we've seen Tosin's going to leave, so we need a centre back. Marco's obviously made it clear that I think we're looking for 2 centre backs. So does that mean Tim Ream's going to leave, or maybe he's going to take a back seat and start doing a bit more coaching? Who knows? You know, we've got Kenny Tete who's just triggered his extension, but does that mean he's going to leave so we can get a bit of money for him and we need a right back? Do we use Devon Tanton from the under-21s who just won the Premier League trophy, PL2 trophy, sorry. And so there's lots of questions in this summer, I think, for Fulham to answer. I think, is Palhinha going to go? If he doesn't go, do we still need another midfielder? You know, I think the left wing is probably the key thing for me. I think if Willian goes, then Fulham definitely need wingers. I think, with no offence to Bobby Reid, I don't think he's good enough to be Premier League starter anymore. He's a bit part player. He's a squad player. He's been great for us, but for Fulham to kick on to the next level, there's no room for sentiment. We've got to have quality. So, Sam, where do you think Fulham need to strengthen?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think out wide is an area that Fulham definitely need. In the midfield, you've got quality in Pereira, in Palhinha. In a hypothetical world, Palhinha stays. You've still got Pereira in there. You've still got Harrison Reed. I'd be interested to know what you do with the likes of Luke Harris this year, coming back from obviously his loan at Exeter, and whether he gets embedded into the squad or loaned back out again. But yeah, out wide, I think Adama Traore is a great option to have off the bench. We've already spoken about Iwobi nailing down a position. If you nail him down as a number 8, you definitely need that wide man. Harry Wilson's performances are good, but not like consistent for what you want from a wide man. So yeah, I'd say with the loss of Tosin, centre back and left wing are definitely the two target areas I'd go for as a like Fulham transfer executive this year. I'll be looking at those areas specifically. Yeah, your left wing. You want to be creating more opportunities to score more goals for the likes of Muniz and Jimenez or Stansfield or whoever you've got in the box. Yeah, left wing going forward would be my point of call.
Yep. Yeah, sounds about right to me. I think Marco said he was looking for 3 or 4 positions, so
Yeah.
it sounds about right. Left wing, centre back, maybe another striker, maybe a central midfielder, something like that.
Definitely.
But Kieran, what do you think Fulham need to do this summer?
I'd probably be in agreement again. I think defense, obviously, we do need a replacement for Tosin and probably another reinforcement, considering Tim Ream seems to be merely just a bench warmer now. So I think Diop's done well, but I think he should probably settle for the bench unless he has an unreal pre-season and earns his place to start. So I think we need to see 2 defensive names come in. I think that'll give us the security we need in the back, because obviously I'm expecting Robinson, Castagna, and Bassi to be a central kind of 3 players going forward into the new season. So I think if we can solidify that 4th defender in front of Leno, I think that's going to be a huge sort of department going in as part of our team. Midfield, as we said, is all fine, I believe. And I think out wide again, as you said, Sam, crucial to our build-up play and our attacks. And I think if we can strengthen out wide, that'll be crucial to like getting more goals. And obviously, whoever we have in the number 9 position, we'll hopefully dispatch them. So I think out wide definitely, and defense definitely. So basically, just repeated what you said, but just yeah.
I'm glad we're all in agreement, to be honest, because, quite a lot of the time Fulham need a lot of players, but I think we've got a good, strong core of a team. And if we are serious about kicking on into the top 10, that Conference League place, whatever, we do need to keep that core together. You've got Leno, Bassi, Palhinha, Pereira. That's a core that is a Premier League core. And I think, we can strengthen the little bits around it. I don't think it needs to be a massively big summer. I don't think we need lots of change, but I do think we need a bit more quality.
Marco did say he's
Yeah.
got the freedom with financial fair play this season, which I think is going to give Fulham fans a lot to talk about on social media and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with that money, because we still have that Mitrovic money. And if we cash in for any other of our players, I think we could see that figure increase significantly. So yeah, be interesting to see.
I don't think funds are the problem this summer at all. I just think that Marco knows his targets. He's already said that he's had meetings, and I think, a lot of people questioned all the signings he made last summer, and they've all come good. Like, they've all ousted whoever was in that position before. So yeah, for me, I think it's bright future for Fulham. And hopefully Marco doesn't get poached by any other teams that have got no manager at the moment. That's my concern. There's about 20 of them. So, yeah, that's my biggest worry at the moment. But he has just signed a new assistant manager in Goncalo Santos from Casapia in Portugal. So I don't know if either of you boys know anything about him, but he plays a very similar style to Xabi Alonso. So hopefully he can integrate a little bit of that into Marco. Well, hopefully he can integrate that into Marco's system a little bit, and maybe give us a little bit of a backup, maybe a 5-3-2 backup option or something like that. Because we do play the same way all the time, so it would be nice to have a little bit of a backup option. Sam, it's been wonderful having you on once again, mate. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're stricken with a foot injury at the moment, so rest up and get well soon. Enjoy the Euros.
Always a pleasure coming on. Look forward to doing something again for next season's preview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to have
Kieran,
you on, Sam.
as ever, fantastic to have you
Good
on,
to
and
speak
we'll
with
be
you,
back
boys.
with,
I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about in the coming weeks with all the transfer rumours and all that jazz. So,
yeah, we'll be back soon with lots of transfer rumours, hopefully. Hopefully Fulham make some early signings and get everybody in the door for pre-season. That would be nice. We can dream, hey.
Round and I